over 100 billionaires live in New York City. But does moving to New York mean that you'll ever get to spend time with them? Obviously, no, because there are over 20 million people living in and around New York. So unless you're within their small little circle, you'll most likely only ever see them flying some helicopters above you. LA is a city of stars, but does moving to LA mean you get to hang out with the Kardashians? Again, no. Because unless you can afford a $10 million home in some gated community in Beverly Hills, you'll just be one of the 18 million LA residents going about their regular lives. But there's one city on earth where you're extremely likely to run into billionaires, unicorn founders, presidents of countries, Nobel Prize winners, Olympic gold medalists, and many other extraordinary people. And we're not talking about London or San Francisco or Shanghai or Singapore or Paris. We're talking about a small city with just over 100,000 residents. All of these countries here either are or have been ruled by a president or prime minister who once studied and lived just a few blocks away from my home. Just yesterday, while I was preparing for this video, I suddenly found out that Prince Mahidol of Thailand, who is the father of King Rama IX and grandfather of King Rama X, who is the current king of Thailand, actually used to live in my very own apartment. It's a very small and humble apartment that I first moved into when I moved to the United States about 4 years ago. What a coincidence! Over 1/4 of all the Nobel Prize winners in the world have at some point lived in this small city. That means every other street has had at some point a current or future Nobel Prize winner living in it. The city I'm talking about is the one right beneath me. Well, the skyline you can see behind me is the city of Boston, but I'm particularly referring to the small city of Cambridge located in Massachusetts. Among so many other things, it's the home to Harvard University and the famous MIT. Later in this video, I'm going to give you an insider tour of all the places where I met some incredible people. And I'm also going to talk about all the famous and influential people who have spent at least some portion of their lives in the buildings around me. Over the past 29 years of my life, I lived in 4 continents, 9 countries and 11 cities. And something I've realized is that great cities don't just attract great people, but they tend to send you a message. And this is something you only really realize if you spend at least some time actually living in the city. And you would be surprised in how different these messages can be between cities and how impactful, influential they are on the people who live in these cities. New York City's 2 main messages are, you should have more money and you should be better looking. And in terms of money, it doesn't even matter if you grew up poor and became a self-made billionaire, or if you're just a nepo baby that inherited everything. In New York, old money is sometimes even preferred over money that you've actually made yourself. And if you're not rich, particularly if you're a woman, you better be extremely good looking. And if you're neither rich nor attractive, you might sometimes feel like you're a second-class citizen in New York. San Francisco and the Bay Area, on the other hand, are completely different. The only thing that really buys you status there is influence and power. The only people in that area who are actually going to care about the millions of dollars that you may have inherited are maybe some greedy real estate agents. But the reason why Mark Zuckerberg, Sergey Brin, Larry Page, and Elon Musk are so respected is because they control extremely large technology companies. To quote Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, professors in New York and the Bay Area are second-class citizens until they either start a hedge fund or start up respectively. LA is all about fame and sex. Money matters too, but nobody will really care about the fact that you may have raised a $100 million Series C for a startup unless you either drive a Bugatti or have 1 million followers on Instagram. Washington, D.C. is all about political power and how close you are to people with political power. And Miami, of course, is all about money and sex. Personally, I don't think European cities send as strong of a message as they may have centuries ago. Surely cities like Berlin, London, or Paris or Moscow, they're all beautiful and have very strong character. But character is very different from sending an actual message. For example, almost every famous 15th century Italian painter was from Florence, even though cities like Milan or Rome were just as big. But there must have just been something in the air during that time in Florence that made people become extremely good painters. But nowadays, this just isn't the case anymore. Once upon a time, Paris was a great intellectual center. And there's still a huge amount of intellect there, but it's just spread out amongst 11 million people. The only really strong message that Paris still sends to this day is to do things with style. And I actually like that, because people in Paris genuinely care about beauty and art, and are not just in it for the brands and the name of it. Cambridge is a very unique place, because if you spend a long enough time here, you're going to learn that the message that Cambridge keeps whispering into your ear is that you should be smarter. your intellectual ambitions and accomplishments are really the thing that earns you respect here. Here, the main industry is neither finance, nor startups, nor technology. It's ideas. And unsurprisingly, these great ideas oftentimes turn into billions of dollars in fortunes, or the greatest technology ever, or some of the most successful startups that have ever existed. I had a really funny experience here in Cambridge while I had dinner with some friends where a friend of mine who used to live in New York City for almost her entire life told everyone with great pride that she would be spending the weekend in the Hamptons with the heir of the Rothschild family. Now, if you don't know, the Rothschild family is one of the wealthiest and oldest dynasties in the world. And she probably thought that everybody would give her a great deal of respect for this. However, I could tell by people's perplexed faces that everyone was like, why are you telling us this? I don't care about this. That's just some random dude who did nothing and is gonna earn billions of dollars. That doesn't buy respect here. It would in New York, but not in Cambridge. Funnily, many of my friends actually come from the wealthiest and most powerful families in their home countries. But you usually don't even find out about this. For example, I had one situation where a friend of my roommate came to my apartment and we hung out and had a good time. And only about a year later, I actually found out that he was the son of the prime minister of one of the largest countries in the world. And similar situations happened to me on numerous occasions. People are just so down to earth that you don't even realize. Cambridge is the one place on earth where you can sit down in a cafe and listen to the most inspiring conversations. Professors talking to their students about their latest scientific breakthroughs, maybe some young students who are working on the next Facebook or Dropbox, or you might be bumping into the future president of a major country. With that, let's check out this astonishing place. Right, so the building just behind me is the MIT School of Management. This is where the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, used to study once. Just behind there, up there, is the Microsoft Research Corporation. If we turn around, the building up there, this is actually my company's very first office, but it's also the very first office of HotSpot, a billion-dollar company that was just there a couple of years before us. Right behind that, maybe you can see the logo is Google. Then we have Meta, Pfizer, Moderna, tons of other companies. Then just behind me is MIT's famous Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory. What's special about this place, among so many other things, is this is where RSA encryption was invented. That means the YouTube video that you're currently watching is actually running through an encryption protocol that was invented just over there behind me. To make things even funnier, the first time an RSA could have been, at least in theory, broken with a quantum computer was invented by Peter Shor, whose office is just somewhere around the corner. I actually featured him in one of my videos. Do you mind explaining people on the internet what your algorithm does?
No, I'd be happy to.
Then moving on, just behind me is the famous Broad Institute. So this is where about 30 years ago, the first human genome sequencing project was led, one of the greatest discoveries we've done in the 20th century. And just around the corner, let me see if you can actually see that. Up there, this is Akamai. 30% of the internet's traffic in the whole world is going through their own servers. This is a $15 billion company that was started here at MIT, and they actually started off through a startup pitch competition about 25 years ago that I went through myself as well for my startup Marveri. Then just at the bottom of this building, right over there, you can see this is Sweet Green. This is where I actually eat once a day, every single day for the past year or so. I always get, can I have 5 portions of blackened chicken? And they actually told me that I'm their very best customer at this location. Maybe they're gonna give me some free food at some point. And of course, behind me, my personal favorite. This is the company that saved the world. In March 2020, they developed the first successful vaccine against COVID. It went into clinical trials in March. A month later, Pfizer and BioNTech did the same, and they both got the vaccines approved in December. A story which may or may not be true, can neither confirm nor deny. I used to date a girl that worked there, and while they were doing their clinical trials, I really wanted to get my hands on an early vaccine before it was released to the public. So she actually smuggled one of their leftover doses of the experimental vaccine back then out of their office at night, and I had a shot a couple of months before everybody else got it, which was super nice. But again, I can neither confirm nor deny if this is true. Now, the really incredible part about this story is that the whole world, 8 billion people, are all racing to get the first COVID vaccine. It was exactly here at Kendall, where I live next to MIT, where they successfully managed to develop the first one. Now the building behind me, I'm not gonna get any closer because I'm afraid they might start shooting at me or the CIA might start investigating me if I film in front of it. But this is Draper, huge defense contractor. What you probably don't know is that they actually used to be part of MIT called the MIT Confidential Instruments Laboratory. And they have a very interesting history because they co-developed the first GPS system and they also created the first silicon-based integrated system computer, essentially the first computer that was used for the Apollo missions to get the space shuttles and the rockets from Earth to Moon and all the way back. Pretty incredible history. MIT, by the way, does so much more military stuff, like unimaginable amount, but most of that is hidden away. It's not happening in Cambridge, but at the Lincoln Laboratory, which is located about half an hour away from here. Finally managed to find a street that's not so busy without people. I've been a YouTuber for 2.5 years and vlogging in public still just freaks me out. Next, I'm getting a quick haircut at Kendall Barbers. Ladies and gentlemen, the most famous person in Kendall Square, Barber George.
What would you like to do today, Sam?
Could you just make it quite short on the side and the back? Who are the most interesting people whose hair you cut here? Any Nobel Prize winners?
Yeah, we've had a few. I just see them. I don't connect the dots. I just have them as my clients. The president of Israel, Bibi, he was a resident right here at Eastgate. Hey, my man. How you doing today? Good, how are you? Wonderful.
Halfway through my haircut, a world-renowned retired MIT professor walked in. He's one of the founding fathers of the signal processing field and has his own placard on the wall. You can't make these things up. And just like that, I was playing card tricks with a real celebrity.
You ever stop talking? Never. And you coming here today is just. You want me to just get this guy out now? And you can sit down? No. It's my friend Al. We call him Magic Al. Want to see a magic trick? Oh, it's a deck of cards. I tell you, these guys here, they come with stuff. I'm gonna take this one. Yeah. Well, that's a good one. If I could pick any one, that's a good one. Yes. I didn't even know they came in number 27. Okay. you remember the card? Yes. Yeah. So I just tell it to you? Dude, this is a good match. Dude, that was good. Oh my god. It's also not just the haircut, it's the experience. You can't make this up. Yeah. All right, you know? He always looks good. Oh, yeah.
So you remember the card too?
I do remember it. So, should I find it?
Yeah, find it.
Well, let's see.
Today. Find it today. No? You don't see it?
I definitely don't see it.
You don't see it?
I don't see it, Al. Magic Al.
Oh, it's in there.
I don't know.
You gotta find it, see? Find it first.
Next, I'm taking a 10-minute bike ride to Harvard Square, where I used to live until just a few months ago, to show you around. So I'm in Harvard Square at a place where I first moved to about 4.5 years ago when I moved to America. When you compare this building to the little historic photo, you'll actually notice that over 100 years ago, this used to be the residence of the Prince of Thailand, the father of the 70-year king Rama IX. He used to live in the exact same apartment. This is actually my bedroom. That actually used to be his bedroom over 100 years ago. These crazy coincidences, they really just happen around here. Gosh, it is so hot today. I just sat down on a little chair on a square to show you my second home 1 year after I moved to the US. Sorry for having my feet in the picture. This is the entrance to the historic Drayton Hall. It used to be a Harvard dormitory. I used to live in this building, and this building just next to us is the Fox Club, the final club where Bill Gates used to party all the time, I assume. I had no beef with them until one day they were really rude to my friend. They kind of insulted him and I got mad at them. So I just called the police when they had a really loud party that wouldn't allow me to sleep, and that's kind of how I got back at them. Hopefully Bill Gates wasn't like that. So on this side behind me is the Harvard Kennedy School. So while Kennedy did not go there himself, he was an undergraduate student here. And on the other side, see the famous Kirkland House. So this is an undergraduate dormitory where Mark Zuckerberg used to have his room.
The room looks a little bit different from what it looked like when I was here, but it's actually mostly the same. And this is where I programmed Facebook.
So the last stop I want to show you is the Widener Library behind me. I actually just realized that my Harvard ID isn't renewed, so I can't enter, otherwise I would have shown it to you from the inside. But what's interesting about it is not just that it was named after Widener, who survived the Titanic. No, he died on the Titanic, I believe, something like that. Just imagine how many US presidents and politicians and Supreme Court justices and other people have sat on these exact same benches where I used to study for all these years. It's a really astonishing and special feeling. On my way home, I will pass through one more stop. This is Winthrop behind me. This is the dormitory where Obama's daughter used to be, and the Secret Service had several rooms here. And I think also the daughter of the Chinese president was probably stationed here, together with her whole security detail. Alright, so this was Cambridge in a nutshell. If you ever have the chance to either study here or live here or work here, you should totally go for it. And if you don't, that's fine. Just keep in mind that not all cities actually send a message. Only those cities that are the centers for some kind of ambition. Therefore, if you ever have the chance to live in another city, even if it's just for a few months, you should choose a city that you know it sends a message that actually enables you to become a better version of yourself. And keep in mind, you don't have to live in a great city for your whole life to actually benefit from it. The most important years are actually the early stages of your career. You don't even have to grow up in a great city, nor do you have to go to college or university in a great city to actually benefit from it. With that, thank you so much for watching. If you learned something new, you can thank me by giving me a thumbs up, subscribing to my channel, and turning on the notification. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.